Hello there and welcome to episode 6 of my bass guitar makeover. Now, I've been working on a table for Carolyn's art studio, so I'm all in a bit of a mess at the minute, so I'm going to have to tidy up. But before I do that, a little jig today, and well, you may find this useful. I needed to plane the edge of this tabletop, and it's always a problem for me. See, I've got this vise, which is great, but if I clamp it on this end, I need something at the other end to stop the thing falling down. That's where this little jig came in. Now then, let's just move this out of the way. So it consists of a block of wood with a hole through it and a bolt through it, with a little bit of plywood screwed to it, which is the same thickness as the plywood on the top of my bench. On top of that, I've got this second piece of wood, and this is a bit of hardwood. I'm not sure what it is, but it's it's quite hard, and a bit of oak, and that just fits on there. Now then, I've also made myself a little handle. So what I do is I clamp this to the edge of the bench. Let's get that screwed on like that. Now then, I'm just going to have to move this tabletop a minute. I need this clamp. Okay, and I also need a piece of wood on the other side of that vise there. Right, okay. So I take my tabletop and put it in the vise at this end. Do it up nice and tight. Then move my little clamp along so it fits in just there, like so. Then I can take this clamp and just clamp that onto there, and that's really rigid. So now I can take my plane and run it on the edge without fear of the thing slipping down. It saved me a lot of time. Probably only took me about half an hour to make, something like that. Yeah, useful little jig. Now then, what are we here for? Let's get going. Now, I did have a plan for this project, but I think the plan has gone off to discover itself, so I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do in this episode. But what I do know is I'm going to start with the headstock, and to do that I need to look at the guitar plan. Now, to be honest, I've done a lot of this off camera because it takes me so long to design these things. I'm not a particularly good designer. I mean, Carolyn usually helps me with these things, but I was keen to at least draw up a template for the headstock. And to do that, what I did was mark all these string positions first off. So these come up from the bridge, and you can see I've got the 4 string positions there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will give me an idea of where the machine heads need to go, and that helps me with the design of the headstock. I have drawn out a template for the new headstock, but I thought I would take you through my design process on this. Now, I started off with this offcut from another guitar that I've made in the past. Now, I like this PRS style headstock, and I've used it many times, and I've actually used it on bass guitars, although it does look a bit small. So what I thought I'd do this time was I'd just sketch round this template just like that, and then what I did was just slid it along a little bit like that. There we go. And then I drew around it again, something like that. Then I took that off and I thought, okay, what if I join that corner up with that end there, which is like that. But I'm going to get a better pen for this. Here we go. Right, so I drew that up to there. I then joined that corner up to there, round like that, So I had a nice longer sort of headstock. Then Carolyn suggested, why didn't I round the corners off a bit, because I don't want to copy PRS. So I've actually just taken the corners off a little bit, just rounded them, rather like the travel guitars that I've done. And then ended up with this shape. Now I drew the string lines on and the centre line, and I also made these little templates just by cutting out a bit of cardboard the same shape as the machine heads, so that I can position the machine heads on the strings. And it's a good job I've done that, because I've just noticed that those two are actually on the same string. So there you are, another Dave moment right in front of your eyes there, and that's sorted out. So there we have it. So I've got the string positions, I've got the machine head positions. All I need to do now, yes, you guessed it, make a template. Now I happen to have this offcut of plywood, which will do the job, I think. I'm going to position this down one end, somewhere about there, and I think I'm just going to put a bit of tape on this just to hold it in position while I sketch around the edge. And first things first, I'm going to mark the centre lines, or the centre line and the string lines, just about there. There's the centre line. Okay, now I'm going to draw around the edge here. Not very clever putting tape on it if you can't then draw the line. Okay, now while I'm here, I'm also going to mark the positions of the centres for the machine heads. Okay, now I've got something to work to. Someone commented that they thought I might be doing a headless bass. No, it's probably not fashionable, but I'm not a big fan of headless guitars, to be honest with you. Just think they look a bit strange. But there you go, that's my opinion. Anyway, let's mark all the positions on here. Okay, I'll cut this out on the bandsaw. When I made this guitar, everything would have been cut out on a handheld jigsaw. So it really is lovely to have a bandsaw like this with a nice thin blade. It makes life so much easier. But of course you can do this with a jigsaw without any bother. Just cut it a little bit bigger than the line and then sand it down to the line. Okay, so I've made the template. Now I've got a decision to make. So I'm just going to get rid of this plan and then show you what I need to decide. Now my original idea was to use a piece of ash to make the headstock. But there's a problem with that, and that is I want to do a scarf joint, and it's really nice if you don't see the scarf joint, and of course if you use a different type of wood you're rather showing off the scarf joint. So I'm just thinking, why don't I make it out of oak? And I've still got this little piece of the pew left, and it looks to me like it's just wide enough. Yeah, I think that's the answer, because I'm going to put an olive top on it, so that's not a problem, it's just the back. Okay, I'm going to run it through the thicknesser, but I know I've shown you the thicknesser many times, but I tell you what, this is a homemade cyclone that I made a couple of years ago, and I've got a couple of videos about how I made this thing. But last week I put a Perspex panel on it just to see how the dust goes into it. I've actually made some adjustments in the actual sort of cyclone bit as well, and it's great fun watching the dust go round, so I'm going to show you that while I'm doing the planing. My cyclone is never going to win prizes for efficiency, but it does capture some of the chips. It's fun to watch it go in. Anyway, so here we have the piece of oak. Now I'm going to have to put this at an angle in order for it to fit in. But fortunately the grain is running off at an angle as well. So hopefully when I do that, it's all going to look square. So let me just mark this out on this side. Mark the centre line. That's looking good. As I'm marking this out, I just realised I haven't marked the position of the nut on this template, which is rather silly. So let's get that done. Now I think the nut should probably be about there. So if I line up the centre line, because it would help if the centre line went all the way to the end. Let's do that. This is just by eye. I mean, the important position is the nut, obviously. I want it to miss that curve there. And that looks about right. Okay. Let's draw a line across there. So I'm going to put a mark in the middle, then use the protractor to get a nice square line. Okay. Okay, I need to work out the headstock angle, and I believe it should be 10 degrees, but just to confirm that, I rescued the old neck out of the bin and checked it, and yet it's about 10 degrees, so I can go back in the bin. Now then, all I need to do is work out where to put this. So let's get this, I've got a template here for setting the headstock angle. Okay, so let me demonstrate how I set up the neck angle. I've got a couple of templates. This one I use on the bandsaw when I'm cutting the actual scarf joint. This one is used for marking up. So it's a 10 degree angle, and I've just got a couple of pieces of wood strapped on the front and the back. So what this means, I can slide this along. So I position the neck so that the nut positions are lined up, and then I just slide that along until that nut position is on the top. So that's what I'm trying to achieve, that this line here is flush with the top there. So okay, that's given me the position, so now I can mark that, and now I can just double check that is okay, and that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm using a 15mm thickness for this headstock, and that will have to be taken down a little bit obviously when I put the top on it, but I can do that in a bit, but otherwise that's looking okay. Now, to achieve that angle, I'm just going to use some tape and glue to attach this little template onto the neck there. Like so. Oh, now I've just stopped in my tracks there, because now this is where you spot how fallible I am, and that is that I've cut this neck to shape, so it's going downhill, and if I stick this template on like that and cut it, then the scarf joint is going to go downhill as well. So what I've got is the offcut from this neck, so I'm going to stick that on the bottom there to hold that neck square. Whew. Good job I spotted that one. Always keep your offcuts. Oh. Here we go. I realise it's not going to be absolutely accurate this, but it's going to be a lot better than if I just cut it without having this piece on there. So let's glue it up. And that should, that's not sticking. It should be okay. I think this is why guitar building is so much fun, in that there's so many little things that can catch you out. And every time I build a guitar, I do it in a different way. I'm sure there must be a standard or the best way of doing it, but quite honestly, it's more fun making it up as you go along. Okay, well that looks like it's stuck. Let's get it on the bandsaw. The main thing now is to get this lined up properly. I'm going to leave myself some material to plane down. So let's adjust this. I think that will do it. Let's have a look. It's come off. That looks okay. Right, I'm going to plane it down. Offcuts from a scarf joint make a great door wedge. Right, here we go. Well, that's nice and flat. Got my headstock ready, all marked up with the lines on the front and the back. And so it's time to glue it. Here we go. I'm going to put some salt on it again, see if I can get this to work properly. The idea of the salt is it's gritty and it will stop the headstock sliding around as I'm trying to fix it on, but it will dissolve in the liquid and not affect the joint. That's a good start. Right, let's try again, Dave. Right. I'm just going to put a clamp here just to hold it while I sort out the other end. Okay, so I'm going to use this offcut as a clamping caul. Seems to be all lined up with there. Oh, looks reasonable. Just knock that over a bit. Well, the salt seems to be holding it, I'll be honest with you. It seems to be doing its job. Okay, my advice, if you're going to use salt, don't use much of it because it gets in a mess and it does interfere with the joint as far as I can see. So I'm going to scrape it off. I've had to move the headstock a bit because I got it in a slightly the wrong position. And it was going to cause me problems, so I've taken it off, and I just realised that the salt had just congealed into a great big lump underneath, so I've taken a lot of it off. Now then, let's just make sure that I'm in the right place now. it's the nut position is the thing. I've got to make sure that when I plane this flush that I don't get a gap there. So this needs to be brought this way, which brings it a little bit further forward than I'd like, but I have got some extra, I believe, on the end there, so that should be okay. The important thing is just to get this lined up, which it looks like it is. I know a lot of people put pins in, and yeah, I have done that in the past, but then I end up, if I'm not careful, having a pin show through. So I'd much prefer just to spend a little time getting this right with the clamps. Once you've got it in the right position, it's pretty solid. Whew, there we have it. So I shall set this aside, let it dry. Whew. Well, I think realistically that's all I've got time for this week. I've got to put a table together for Carolyn's art studio, and plenty of other things to keep me busy. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to be notified when I next put a video up, and hit the like button if you like this sort of thing. In the meantime, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.